I thought I was being a good friend, but I'm starting to realize I might have been quietly controlling instead. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong until I realized everyone in my life had quietly started treating me like the problem, and the worst part is that no one ever said it out loud until it was already too late to pretend I didn't see it. I've always thought of myself as a good person, not in a heroic way, just dependable, the kind of woman people trust with their keys, their pets, their secrets, the kind who remembers birthdays and shows up early and says yes more often than she should. Being nice was my identity, and for a long time I thought that meant I couldn't possibly be the villain in anyone's story. This all started about a year and a half ago when my 6-year relationship ended and took my sense of direction with it. Daniel and I weren't married, but everyone assumed we would be, including me. We lived together, shared bills, talked about kids in that vague someday way that feels solid until it isn't. There was no cheating, no big blow-up, just a quiet night on the couch when he said he didn't think he was happy anymore, and I realized I hadn't been either but had been too afraid to say it. He moved out on a rainy Tuesday, took the couch, left the plant he never watered, and I cried hard enough that my ribs hurt for days. After the crying came the numbness, and after that came the decision that I was going to be fine even if I had to force it. I leaned into my friendships in a way I never had before, especially Maya. Maya and I had been friends since high school, the kind of long-term friendship that survives bad haircuts and worse boyfriends. She was sharp, funny, observant in a way that made me feel understood. When I told her about the breakup, she was immediately there, texting me constantly, letting me vent, reminding me that 6 years mattered and that I wasn't weak for grieving them. When she suggested I come stay with her for a bit to get out of my apartment and reset, it felt like a gift. The visit was supposed to be 2 weeks. It turned into months. At first it was perfect. We drank cheap wine on her couch, rewatched shows we loved in college, talked until 2 in the morning about everything and nothing. I was careful, or at least I thought I was. I cleaned, bought groceries, asked if it was okay that I stayed longer. She always said yes. Sometimes she even joked that she needed me around. When my lease ended, panic set in and I casually asked if moving in together for a while would be okay. She hesitated just long enough for me to notice, then said yes as long as we communicated. I told myself that hesitation meant nothing. Living together was easy at first, then quietly less so. I process my feelings out loud. Maya shuts down when she's overwhelmed. I wake up early, she stays up late. I didn't see these as problems, just quirks. Around that time I started dating again, and I told Maya everything because that's what we'd always done. Then I met Alex. He was calm, steady, kind without trying to impress me. Being with him felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. I started spending more nights out, more weekends away, assuming Maya would be happy for me, and she said she was, but her tone changed. She made comments that sounded like jokes but felt sharp around the edges. She went quiet when I talked about him. I noticed but ignored it because I didn't want to believe my best friend could resent my happiness. The first real fight we had was about dishes, which is how these things always start. I left a pan soaking overnight and she snapped, not yelling, just cold and clipped, saying she felt like she was always picking up after me. I immediately defended myself, listing everything I contributed, and she looked at me in a way I'd never seen before and said, "That's not the point." She told me she felt like she was carrying my emotional weight on top of her own, that I treated her like a backup partner without realizing it. I was stunned. I told her she could have said something sooner. She said she had, just not loudly. We apologized to each other, hugged, and I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. Things shifted after that. She stopped texting me when I was out. She became shorter, more distant. When Alex started staying over sometimes, she grew visibly uncomfortable. One night she asked if I could give her more notice, and I agreed, feeling vaguely guilty but also annoyed. I told myself I was being reasonable. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. I found out from a mutual friend that Maya had been telling people she felt trapped in her own home, that I had moved in during a vulnerable time and never really left, that she didn't know how to ask me to go without feeling like a bad person. Hearing that felt like a betrayal, and I confronted her immediately. She didn't deny it. She said she didn't feel safe telling me directly because every time she brought up an issue, I explained it away or turned it into a discussion about my feelings. That sentence stuck with me because I realized she was right. I don't yell, I don't insult, but I explain, justify, rationalize until the other person feels unreasonable for being upset in the first place. I'd always thought that made me mature. Suddenly it felt manipulative. The fight that followed was ugly in a quiet way. No screaming, just tears and long silences and a realization that we were both deeply hurt. She asked me to move out. I agreed, immediately, because anything else would have proven her point. Moving out felt like a breakup of its own. We barely spoke for weeks. I replayed every interaction, every time I'd leaned on her without asking, every moment I'd assumed my intentions mattered more than her experience. I talked to Alex about it, expecting reassurance, and instead he gently told me that sometimes my kindness feels like pressure, like people don't have room to say no to me. That hurt more than anything Maya said. I moved into my own place, smaller and quieter, and sat with the discomfort instead of rushing to fix it. Maya and I eventually talked again, cautiously. We're not what we were, and we probably never will be. The resolution isn't neat. I didn't lose everyone, but I lost the version of myself that thought being nice meant being harmless. I'm learning that good intentions don't cancel out impact, and that avoiding conflict doesn't make you kind, it just delays the damage. I don't know if I'm the asshole, but I know I'm not as innocent as I always believed, and that realization has been harder to live with than the breakup that started all of this.